Suplementação de qualidade é na maxtitanium Suplementos. Utilize o cupom SM e tem aquele desconto especial. Link na descrição. No vídeo, Terrick, árbitro do Mr.olympia, e os comentaristas do fisiculturismo Chris Cormier e Wilkins comentaram sobre Ramon Dino e Cbum no Mr.olympia e fizeram várias observações. Lembrando, se você quer ver esse vídeo completo, o link está na descrição.
Nós amamos o Ramon Dino, but Ramon Dino is a phenomenal competitor. However, he's facing an incredible, genetically gifted bodybuilder by the name of Chris Bumstead. And in my opinion, Chris Bumstead displayed a great deal of dominance in his performance at the 2022 Mr. Olympia. I looked at the poses with Chris, and I believe Chris Bumstead beat Ramon Dino in most poses, in some poses even convincingly. So is Ramon Dino a challenger? No doubt. However, at this point, Chris Bumstead seems to be ahead of Ramon in a very significant way.
I'm going to go ahead and prepare myself for a lot of angry DMs. So I sat in prejudge with my wife. It was her first Olympia. She was over the moon and just enjoying every minute. She's a huge Chris Bumstead fan. And I don't know, you didn't deal with this because you were always open. But if you cross over from like men's physique to classic physique and you don't really know the poses and the quarter turns, you look at the other guys. She kept grabbing my arm going, does this Ramon guy know what he's doing in this division? Because every pose he looked over at Bumstead to see, you know, what's he doing? What's Chris doing? Where's Chris? There was a constant eye on Chris at every pose.
To me, that sounds like he knows he's more superior than him, and he's chasing after him. That's what that looking over look. I mean, you may think you're doing it, being crafty up there, but in my eyes, or judge's eyes, probably would be like, well, you're looking at him because he's more superior than you. You got to try. You're trying to follow him.
Chris is absolutely right. You should never be looking at your competitors. You should set the tone yourself. You know, I often tell competitors, you need to be the first one to hit the pose and the last one to get out of the pose. If you're looking at the guy left, what are you telling us? Do you think the guy left to you is better than you? Is that why you're looking at him? Don't ever look at other competitors. Just go ahead and do your business. And I noticed that myself. Your wife was right. You know, you can't be looking to the side. It wasn't just Ramon Dino, but it was other guys. Now, what happens is like we're talking about Sidney Gillen. You know, they developed the champions. They developed that Michael Jordan stigma, you know. I'm the greatest one. You know, if I go to the lane and somebody touches me, it should be a foul, right? So they developed that aura of invincibility. And that's why we have the expression, if you want to be the champion, you got to knock them out. You can't come in overly respecting them. You got to come in and say, hey, you don't belong here. I'm the new champion. Get the hell out of my way.
You got to take it.
Well, speaking of looking at two guys, Ramon was looking at this smirk for the better part of about 15 minutes as they went round and round.
So okay. Stop right there. So here's one thing you got to give credit. Ramon, great arms, right? Biceps. He's got huge arms. And we love biceps and triceps. And even Chris Bumstead said, that might be one of the things that I need to improve is my arms. But when you have arms that big, they look good, but they actually start overpowering your physique. Now the lats look a bit small, right? He looks just a little bit narrow on top. Chris Bumstead has this huge advantage that his clavicle bones are larger than Ramon Dino. So he is by nature wider. Now he's beating him on width, and in addition to that, Ramon Dino's arms are overpowering his width. So that's a problem that Ramon Dino needs to work. Stop working out those arms and grow your lats.
In my eyes, I'm starting, you know, with my experience, you start from the ground up. So what I look at, I'm looking at the feet. These feet right here does not compute you displaying your quads at the best, in their best development. There's no way you can have this come into a bent ankle and then trying to, like, you need to have some weight over here on this foot, bend the legs a little bit, and then, like you said, you know, the arms, now we just want, like, definition, shape, and symmetry throughout the arms. you got to display that in this pose. And he could take more advantage of his physique just by placing his feet, bringing the heel through. As you see right here, Bumstead is taking full advantage of his quad separation all up into the trunks. That's trademark of a great champion, is to utilize your physique at its finest.
As soon as you said that, Chris, instinctively I felt my knee kicking out, my toe planting to make that lower head of the quad pop.
That's right.
So this is a big difference, though, in the muscle mass, not only the mass, the quality, the separation, the lines, but also that muscle maturity. How many years does Bumstead have on Ramon Dino?
Well, he was a great champion at the age of 22, being in the top 2 in the Olympia. So he's more, I mean, he just showed his superiority to me. That's what brought him over the edge, because every pose Dino hit, he hit it better.
Let's roll this forward just a touch, see if we can catch some of these.
Don't counsel me.
See some of these looks over as Ramon looked at him.
See, you should be just step right into that pose and to be able to hit it.
So this is one of the poses. You can stop right now, Aaron. This is one of the poses that Ramon Dino has a chance of closing the gap with Chris Bumstead. Why? Because this is not a pose where Chris Bumstead is displaying his width. Right now, we are looking at density. And obviously, you see Ramon Dino's arms are impressive. He has good quads. What is Chris Bumstead doing here? He's outposing Ramon in a pose that he could lose to Ramon.
Right.
So, if you are a bodybuilder that doesn't have a lot of density, okay? You don't have a lot of density. What you should do is you should open your side chest a little bit more, so that creates a little bit of width. Ramon Dino is bringing it right here, showing his density. But what Chris Bumstead is saying to the judges is, I know you like his density, but look how wide I'm still going for this side chest. Look, he's bringing width to a pose that's traditionally about density.
Okay, so what I see, this elbow should not be this far out from that delt. He's pulling it way too far behind.
Which is making him narrow,
Yeah.
right?
And then this arm should not be bent at the wrist. That should be straight, just like you see Bumstead. This should be straight and locked down, but this elbow should be lower and coming through and not pulling so far back behind your body like that.
Well, and it looks like with that far elbow, he's really trying to pull that pec over to get those striations out, where Chris looks like it's a little more effortless.
And Tim, we've been talking about two of the great champions of our sport, and all Chris and I have been saying is posing. Posing, posing, and posing. What Ramon Dino needs to do is to go to the gym and not lift any weights, go into a posing room with a professional, somebody that has done this, such as Chris Cormier, and teach him how to display his physique better, so then he closes the gap to Chris Bumstead. The secret for Ramon Dino is a few modifications physically, but most of them is the illusion that he's falling behind Chris by a lot.
Let's roll it ahead while you talk, Chris.
And that's the thing, is that posing is what going to separate even that, like, to do that at the end is like,
okay. Did you catch that?
I didn't laugh at that one, but you.
I don't know why they touch each other's glutes.
You need to tighten this up.
This is usually a message saying, I want to see if your glutes are striated or not.
Right.
What fascinates me is this, that, it's fun, but guys, whoever hits the pose first will get the attention. You see Chris here? He got the attention. And he's gonna be still on this pose. He's not moving. That's great posing. Look at Ramon here creating some motion. Go ahead and press play. See, there's some shaking. He's gonna open again, and this is not good posing. Ramon needs to improve on that if he wants to beat the champion.
I don't think he's feeling the pose. I know we're talking a lot about his posing, but he could be so much better with just utilizing the right technique behind each pose. And so when he went in to some of these poses, I don't think he's really feeling what he should be feeling.
Now that's a beautiful pose for Ramon, but it's one of Chris's signatures, so it's really hard to go head to head.
But again, notice how Chris Bumstead hits the pose. There's no hesitation. If you go back a little bit, Aaron, just go back a little bit. Go back.
Back. Back.
The other way around it. Yeah, so look at this. They're both here. They're not hitting that pose. That's a traditional Arnold Schwarzenegger pose. Now look at how Chris makes his transition and he stops at the pose. Look, there's movement, they're setting it up. Chris is stopped. He's right here. He's not moving anymore.
And that comes from practice. It comes from doing it so many times. You don't have to think about it. You fall right into your pose. You know, do your thing just like that. So that's where you're going to get. Well, that's where you're going to get that type of professional.
This was I started going to Olympia prejudges in '98. This was my favorite Olympia year so far, and this prejudge. When Chris walked out, this was packed with thousands of people in the expo hall going just ballistic for these two going at it. So it was an exciting morning.
Yeah, it looks almost like an old FIBO looking field.
This is the biggest bodybuilding hero in the world. His name is Chris Bumstead. And this is the biggest upcoming star in bodybuilding. His name is Ramon Dino. The third one is in open bodybuilding, and his name is Nick Walker. So the two most popular guys in our industry right now are in the same division, and they're battling for first. This one is the champion. He poses like a champion. This one is incredible, amazing, but he needs to improve his posing.